I'm Ron Claiborne. I'm a board member of Midori and Friends for almost 10 years now, former chair of the board, and I am here, of course, with the extraordinary, our founder, 30 years, Midori and Friends, the renowned virtuoso violinist Midori, and we are here to introduce, among other things, the Changing the Tempo series, which is an exciting addition to our repertoire of efforts, thanks to Midori. Let me ask you a very basic question, Midori. Why do you think humans make, listen to, appreciate, why do we feel music? Why is music so important to us? Why is it so magical?
I can't speak for everyone, but I will be very happy to talk to you about how I feel about music. And initially, I would say that music was something that opened doors of my curiosity. And it was something through which I got interested in history, in the sciences, in literature, in so many different academic areas as a youngster. This was very important. But then, of course, music became something much more, and I started to recognize the power of music much more clearly. And yes, the question of why does music move someone? Why does it move me? It's something so connected to one's heart, I think, one's feelings, and it's where it's where the words just stop explaining. Music starts, and for me, it's very difficult to explain what music is about. I can give you data, I can give you information, when was it written, who the composer is, why did he write it, or what was the context in which he wrote it or she wrote it. All these things, I can give you the factual information, but I can't really explain how it makes me feel, except that it's moving to me and it transports me to a different place. It transports me to a safe place where I can imagine, where I can try to think of ways to solve problems. It takes me to a very, very special, unique place.
How did you start playing? How old were you, and how did that come about?
I started to take violin lessons at 4, but obviously music was already in my life at that point because my mother is a violinist, and I used to listen to my mother practice, and while she wanted me to perhaps try a different instrument, not the same as her violin, but maybe something different, I kept going back to the violin because I used to listen to my mother practicing it and spending so much time with it that I wanted to try it too. And she was also teaching other children and giving violin lessons to them, and I wanted to be one of them.
When did you realize that this was your passion, this would be your life's work, this is what you wanted to do with your life? As a little girl or somewhere along the line?
So as a young girl, it was very clear to me that I loved music. And when I wasn't playing the violin, I would be listening to music. And maybe even, like that more than just playing. I just loved the sounds and different sounds of different instruments and the imagination that allowed me to see different things, hear different things, just transporting me somewhere. But then it was actually a very conscious decision for me to pursue a career in music. I think that there's a distinction that has to be made between when did I realize that I loved music, which was from childhood. It was always very clear. I was passionate about music. And when did I actually decide to become a violinist as a professional? And that happened in my early adulthood. And when
You've been playing for a while before
I've been
that.
playing for a while. I've been concertizing. I had already made my debut. But I decided that I wanted to embrace the career. And I wanted to take the opportunities that this career offered and then take it to a new place. For example, using music, what I realized was that it could bring people together. It could connect people together. And using that power of music, doing something with that, and starting projects like Midori Trends and other organizations, this is really very much at the bottom of all my projects, that music brings people together.
But even as a young woman embarking on this career, which I think would be all-consuming, you thought, let me start something, Midori and Friends, to bring music to other people. Where did that idea even come from?
I think that because I was young, I was fearless, I was innocent, I didn't know better. So I didn't realize what an undertaking this was going to be, what a responsibility it was going to be. All I wanted was to share the music. I was growing up in the business, so to say, in the 80s and the 90s. And I was hearing my colleagues, my much older colleagues, I was very fortunate to be exposed to them. I heard them talking about the issues of the lack of music education, diminishing quality of music education in the public school system, especially in the larger cities like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Atlanta, and so forth. Hearing this, I decided that I wanted to actually participate in reversing this trend that I was hearing about, which was to actually take music education away from the schools. And I wanted to also create a platform in which my colleagues and my friends would also be able to participate in reversing this trend. And as a result of that, I needed an organizational structure. It wasn't just about me going to a particular school and playing for a group of children, but I wanted this to become a movement. I wanted to be able to collaborate with others. I also wanted to make sure, back then we called it multiculturalism, that New York, I grew up in New York from age 10. I was here breathing in this wonderful, rich culture, cultural offerings of New York City. And I was being influenced by so many different genres of music, jazz, music from Africa, music from Central Europe, music from South America, Southeast Asia, different genres. And I wanted to make sure that the work that this organization was going to do wasn't going to be just about classical music, but that it reflected the richness, the diversity of what this city had to offer, and so many traditions that were available. So I did need an organization rather than just one person going into a school. So this is why I started Midori & Friends. And of course, once I started, I learned very quickly that the issue at hand was not as simple as, okay, just bring musicians into the schools. There were many, many layers to the problem, or problems, I should say, and that it wasn't a new problem, but it was already at that point quite a problem with some history. So in the end, it actually made even more of a sense that I had the organization, because I could actually try for a more systemic change rather than an individual change that happens in a single school or two schools. But I learned so much, and as I learned about more problems, as I thought that our organization was solving some of the issues, and there were new problems.
Well, that's always going to be the case.
There were new problems, and we learned, we became aware, or simply new problems came by, and we wanted to tackle them too. And so it just happens that it really made a very strong impression on my mind that we can never become kind of lazy, or we can be satisfied with one way of doing things, that there are always millions of different ways of approaches that we should consider, and that we should always be evaluating, we should always be looking ahead. And what I really thought at that point is that I want to participate in shaping the future.
You talk about, the expression is the transformative power of music. What does that mean?
It means many things. A transformative power of music. This is such a wide variety of possibilities. Somebody who is already playing an instrument and is given further opportunities and could bring the level of that playing to a higher place. Of course, the more you can do, the better you can play, the more you can express. Your relationship with music changes. What you can do with music changes. Okay, that's one example. Somebody who may not have had a chance to be exposed to music before that and is given this possibility to learn a musical instrument for the first time. And in the process of learning, there's so many different things that get developed. Concentration, multitasking skills, the curiosity to explore different ideas that surround a piece of music, or the mechanism of how an instrument works, how to actually organize the practicing process, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are lifelong skills that we're talking about. And it benefits one's life in so many different ways. And it's not just about, oh, I got to know music, and oh, that's nice, but it goes way beyond. And it transforms, it enriches your life. It changes the way you live your life.
Was there any defining moment, any experience in your life which you can go back and say, this inspired me to want to help others, to serve others?
Of course, I had mentors who were very influential in making me realize that the world is a large place and that my world shouldn't just be restricted to a practice room, learning the pieces and going on tour to perform these pieces. So I was very fortunate to have had these mentors in Isaac Stern and also Leonard Bernstein. And these two musicians also happened to be extremely committed to the world. And to be able to have spent some time with them, to be in their circle, just sort of being around them, I learned a lot. I was inspired greatly. And now that I can see in retrospect that what they were talking about, how to advocate for music, how to actually make music become a part of this world and make it effective. I think this is something that I'm trying to live through right now.
Well, through Midori and Friends, several 100,000 children in New York City, many of whom, probably most of whom, would not have had the exposure to music, have had it through Midori and Friends. Do you feel a sense of accomplishment from having made this possible for them?
I actually am very, very happy always to hear that children have been given an opportunity to learn about music, to learn a musical instrument. But I still always keep hoping for more. I keep wanting to do more. I keep wanting to expand. I have my dreams. And I think that one of the things that makes me very happy is this whole movement of bringing music to children, sharing music with others, using music to really support someone through life. This was something rather unusual 30 years ago or 35 years ago when I was coming of age. And I do believe that the recognition of the importance of this work is much, much, much more in the forefront of people's awareness.
One of the programs that Midori and Friends offers is the Next Gen Musicians, relatively new series. I've spoken to some of these the groups of young musicians. They're not only studying music, but leadership skills. Does this address, when you talk about the systemic change that you would like to see? That's bigger than music, isn't it?
It's much bigger than music. It's a life skill again. But from a practical point of view, too, there are many ways to be involved in music. And there are many ways to support music. There are many ways to learn through music. And this teens program does all this. And yes, we, through music, try to advocate for enriching our lives, for more holistic lives. But it takes a while sometimes for everyone to realize that that is indeed what they are learning.
What is the systemic change that you would like to see realized?
I would like to see that first there's a recognition of the important value of music and music education, that music is for everyone. Music belongs in the hearts of everyone. Music is there actually in everyone. We just have to find ways to bring it out. And we need the means to be able to bring them out, whether it's an instrument or in knowledge or administrators that will help us organize such events or such activities that enable other people to be able to embrace music and to have music in their lives and to really bring out what's in their in themselves.
You've talked before, and I know this is very important to you, about the intersection of music and wellness. Tell me a little bit about that, why that's important, what music can achieve in the wellness arena.
I think that I'm not a doctor, but one of the most obvious things that I've been told is about the changes in the pulse, the changes in the vital signs when a patient is exposed to live music. And it could be the same piece of music, but if it's not live, it doesn't have the same effect, which is very interesting.
It is.
But music is something that can console, that can excite, that can inspire, that can help one heal, that can encourage, give courage to do something. It has so many possibilities. And this is all connected to wellness as well.
It has real neurological, physiological effects, benefits.
Absolutely.
Stress, depression, anxiety.
Absolutely. And so not everything can be measured in the ways we measure things right now, but other things can also be felt intrinsically.
Music therapy has, I think, demonstrated benefits to people. That's truly amazing. Is there something that Midori and Friends can do to expand into that area?
I would love to see us expand into that area. One of the experiences I have in playing for patients in the hospital, where the patients may be just a few hours away from exiting this world, and when the sound goes to them, or into them, I should say, there's no boundary in a way. It's very direct, and it goes from soul to soul, I believe. And I may not be able to see the difference in the expression because I'm not spending my time there every day, every hour. But others that are close to them can see that difference. And how it actually lightens up that person's life through the sound, this effective sound. The sound that actually created by human beings, really. And because of that, there's warmth.
I have visited dementia facilities where people who are unresponsive to words, to their own name, when there's live music, I saw this personally. Something clicks. They wake up. They sing. They're full of joy. It's amazing what it reaches in the human brain, or I guess the human soul in many ways.
Yeah, it's something that we can expect, but how it happens, it's still a mystery.
How has playing, practicing, listening to music been of benefit to you in your own wellness?
Yes, it absolutely does. It keeps me calm. It keeps me focused. It brings me to a center.
Would it be foreseeable that Midori and Friends could expand its mission to reach out into elderly facilities, dementia facilities, things
I think we very
beyond
much
just,
should.
children?
I think we very much should, and to a certain extent, we are already expanding. I've always wanted Midori and Friends to become the agents for change. And in order to start the activities, we focus on the children. But it's not just the children who can benefit from music. And bringing music to those who may otherwise not have access, again, does not have to be limited to children. And I think we should expand and we should be talking to different populations.
Why is this so important to you? Where does this come from? Was this something that you were born with? That you
I don't
saw
know where it
modeled,
comes
that
from.
You saw other people that inspired you?
I can't tell you where it comes from, but what I know is that I'm absolutely passionate about it. This is me. This is what makes me. And I can't imagine not doing it.
When you are playing music, I've seen you play many times. It's an honor to be able to. What are you thinking? Are you thinking?
Of course I'm thinking. Of course I'm feeling the music. I'm in some kind of a zone at that point, and it's very difficult to, in retrospect, know what went on, what actually happened. I'm assuming it's a combination of what I hear, what I think, and it's really difficult to actually see each component of this process of playing.
At the end of the performance, when you're backstage, do you think that went well, or I could have done better?
We
There's a
always
part
say we
where-
always say that we can do it differently.
Differently is a little different than.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you feel a sense of fulfillment, of satisfaction, or do you?
For me, it's always a stepping stone to the next.
Let's talk finally about Midori and Friends. Where would you like to see this organization, which bears your name, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, doing what that we're not doing yet?
So I think that the strength of this organization is that we don't actually just get on the bandwagon. We don't actually do work that we believe is good, but then continue doing that just because it was good. We are constantly looking to reevaluate. And as I said earlier, I would love to see that we're participating in shaping the future. We are the agents for change. And so how that's going to look like in terms of the details of what are we going to be doing in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, I'm sure the programs will change. That basic idea of bringing music, the values of music, the benefits of music and music education to those who might have less access, that I think is not going to change. But how we conduct our activities, how we actually decide to present some of these activities as well, these will keep developing. Yeah.
It's an honor to be part of this organization and to listen to you and to talk to you.
Thank you. You always make it so interesting.
Thank you so much.